Hi everyone! Thank you all for taking the time to watch this presentation and for signing up as a language exchange tutor. This program wouldn't be possible without all of you, so your participation is greatly appreciated. Also, this presentation will be available to you all through our website if you would like to rewatch it. This is the LE coordinating team for spring 2024. My name is Cindy, and I use the pronouns she, her, hers. I am currently a junior studying political science and legal studies, and this is my second semester as an LE coordinator. Elsa and I both oversee matching and running the LE email, so feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions or concerns. This is a brief summary of our agenda. First, we'll be discussing who we are, what GUS does as an organization, and what tutoring with LE specifically entails responsibility-wise. We will also cover good tutoring practice and finish up with culture awareness and inclusion practices to ensure that your groups feel comfortable with one another. So first, let's start with who we are as an organization. GUS, or a Greater University Tutoring Service, is a student organization that began in 1974 and works to provide students with free tutoring, volunteer and peer tutoring opportunities, and leadership opportunities through student staff. Our team, which is comprised of both students and professional full-time staff members, is divided into academic, language, and study support services. LE falls under the language category. If you're interested in any other tutoring opportunities with GUTS, make sure to check out our website at guts.wis.edu. If you want to conduct online tutoring, you can run your sessions through one of these three platforms. However, in order to comply with the FERPA regulations around the protection of student information, you can only use a university-approved platform such as the ones on the slide. If anyone is interested in extras training in any of these platforms, feel free to reach out to us to set up an individual training session with us. If none of these platforms work for you and your group needs to meet online, let us know what alternative platform you plan on using. Now we'll move on to details regarding our program specifically and what we expect from our participants. The language exchange program allows you to learn a foreign language while teaching a language you're fluent in. For example, if you're fluent in Japanese and you want to practice your Spanish skills, we will match you with a fluent or proficient speaker of Spanish who wants to learn Japanese. Due to the nature of this exchange, both participants will engage in tutor and tutee roles. Since this program requires an exact language match to be paired with another student, we recommend also checking out at our World Language Learners programs for those looking to practice a non-English language, or our Conversational English program for those looking to practice English. You can check out these programs on the GUTS website. Here's a brief overview of how this exchange will work after being successfully matched into pairs. You and your partner will meet for a minimum of 2 hours a week, 1 hour for each language being practiced. During these meetings, you're focused on whatever aspect of language that you wish to improve. Outside of these weekly meetings, our programs, often with the World Language Learners programs, will host programs event for you to meet other participants and engage in fun activities. Once you're matched, it's important to first contact your partner using the contact information provided in the matching email. In this email, you can discuss where and when you'll meet weekly. If your partner doesn't respond to you or there are issues with scheduling, feel free to reach out to us so that we can rematch you with another participant. At your first session, we ask that you fill out your tutor to T contract together. This is an important document that lets us know that your group has met and has set up a basis for future meetings. We require that all participants send it in within 2 weeks of meetings for the first time. After your session, please have one of your group members fill out the attendance sheet. After this training, we will match you with your group members. This matching email will include contact information and important documents like a Tier 2T contract, attendance sheets, and post-training survey. As the semester progresses, we will also send out updates regarding social events and check-in forms. In order to ensure that groups are meeting, we ask that you fill out an attendance sheet. In case you weren't able to meet with the group, please fill out the report anyway to show that the session was canceled. Feel free to bookmark this form or use the last 5 minutes of your tutoring session to fill out the document. Specifically, if you're interested in letters of recommendations and/or volunteer hours, we need to refer to these reports, so make sure to fill them out. In case you lose the email with this report, you can find it on the World Language Learners website. Attendance, although very important for this program, is flexible. So if anything suddenly comes up in the way of emergency situations, illness, pre-planned events, religious holidays, or exams, communicate that to your partner as soon as possible to let them know of this conflict. In the instance that a group member has more than two unexcused absences, they will be removed from the group and replaced. So make sure to keep up with the attendance sheet. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us. We prefer you email us at the LE email address since we check this during our office hours. If you want to talk to someone at the GUTS other than us, you can contact our supervisor, Savannah. She will definitely be willing to help with anything you need, especially if you have any questions regarding discriminations or harassment. You can also talk to us or other GUTS staff member in person at our office at 333 East Campus Mall in the Student Activity Center. Our office is in room 3111 down the hallway off to the left of the help desk. Now we're going to move on to good tutoring practices. Since this is a asynchronous session, we ask that you think about these questions to better understand how to implement culture awareness. Feel free to pause the video here to think through your answers. First meetings are important to establish a comfortable environment for both participants. So here is a suggested timeline of how your first session can run. First, you should introduce yourself to your partner. When your partner introduces themselves to you, make sure you pronounce tutees' names correctly. There are a lot of international student tutees, and some might be using their given name, and some might prefer if you were called them by their English name. If you're unsure about how to pronounce your partner's name, just ask. It's also good to discuss with the tutees both long-term and short-term goals about language to better direct your sessions. Some other questions that are helpful to cover include, what are your tutees interested in improving upon? Is it pronunciation, grammar, or slang? Are there any topics you'd like to expand your vocabulary and become more comfortable talking about or interested in? Are there any topics you'd like to avoid? Next, it's important to ask tutees what style of tutoring they prefer. Some tutees prefer flexible meeting times while others prefer a schedule. As long as you're meeting weekly, this shouldn't be an issue. Make sure you are conscious of the correction styles you use for a partner, and make sure you discuss with the partner what type of correction will be most beneficial to their learning. In general, it's important to meet people where they are and correct your expectations to match the level that your group members are operating at. You can achieve this by listening, observing, and connecting to your tutees during your tutoring sessions. You should also work to make your group members comfortable and get as much out of the experience as possible. This comfortable environment can be created by frequently checking in with the group to assess comprehension, allowing breaks, using inclusive languages, and minding personal space when meeting. As we mentioned before, tutoring is an exchange, so we just ask that you try and make sure that your tutees are receiving as much benefit as you are. Finally, if you have any questions about accommodating your group members, feel free to email us. LE is a program that works to connect people from various backgrounds and cultures, so it is important to recognize that there is a large amount of diversity within our tutoring groups. Although this volume with diverse cultures provides a great opportunity for learning, it can also lead to some culture clashes between tutors and tutees. Keeping this in mind, we've included a section to help create safe and comfortable environments for tutees while tutoring. Here's a short video illustrating the idea of implicit bias. Feel free to watch this video on yourself. Now we're going to review some of the ideas from the video. First, implicit bias is defined as mental associations based on race, gender, and other social categories that may lead to discrimination without intent or possibly awareness. We specifically want to emphasize the part that states that this form of bias operates unconsciously, so it's not the same as explicit bias, which can be exhibited through overt, open discriminations like using racial slurs or refusing service. Even though someone believes that they aren't biased as it goes against their values, chances are they probably have many implicit biases which are deeply ingrained in their way of thinking. Although implicit bias occur unconsciously and may seem like less of a threat than explicit biases, they can still affect your actions and words, so it's important to recognize them and combat them to make your tutoring sessions more comfortable for all members. First, it's important to note that replacing stereotypes with non stereotype responses takes practice and is by no means an easy or quick process. Doing this requires seeing an individual as a unique from their category by obtaining relevant information regarding who they are as individuals. Our mind tend to fill in missing data with stereotype information, so getting to know your group members will counteract this process. We also recommend that you increase opportunities for contact by deliberately engaging in authentic relationships with people in different social groups. It's also helpful to perceive variability within social groups since every group contains a variety of traits. Finally, we want to remind you believing that you are unbiased is not beneficial. Everyone is biased in some way, so acting like you aren't can actually lead to more stereotype based judgments. It's also counterproductive to suppress stereotypes by claiming that you are colorblind or gender blind or anything like that. Consciously avoiding thinking about stereotypes can actually create a rebound effect, causing an increase in application of bias. However, if you just accept the preposition that we all have bias without striving to reduce it, stereotyping can increase because we have normalized harmful behavior. Another key part to building cultural awareness is looking out for microaggressions. These are statements, actions, or incidents in which people, either intentionally or unintentionally, discriminate against people based upon their marginalized group membership. Although these might not seem harmful, they can damage a person's self esteem and trust in you. Be constantly vigilant in your words and actions during this cultural exchange. These are some examples of microaggressions that you should be aware of during tutoring. Although these may not seem that harmful, they can negatively affect your tutoring environment and make your partner feel uncomfortable, so make sure to avoid these situations. If you witness someone in your group using microaggressions against someone else in your group, there are plenty of ways for you to respond. If you prefer addressing the issue immediately, feel free to interrupt the behavior and call attention to the microaggression. We've outlined some way that you can do this, but feel free to utilize whatever method is most appropriate for the situation. If you would prefer a less confrontational approach, you can always talk with the person who used microaggression after the session. If you feel uncomfortable or believe that this is a pretty major issue, feel free to reach out to us or the senior language coordinator. There is also a possibility that you might be on the receiving end of microaggressions. Again, you can respond in a confrontational or non confrontational way depending on what you're comfortable with. We've outlined some methods on the slide, but feel free to address it in whatever way you feel is appropriate. Finally, to show that you are watched this video, please fill out this post-training survey. If there's anything that you think could be improved in this presentation, please scan this QR code and let us know. Thank you again for watching this video, and we hope that you have a successful time tutoring. Once again, feel free to reach out with any questions and or concerns.